I am.
Okay.
Are you ready to go in the back?
Good.
Okay.
Saved, you said all set.
Then I will call the meeting to order at 5:30. First order of business, Jackie, is the minutes of
So
July
moved.
24th.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. And August 14th,
So moved.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, we have some bills to pay. We have the Skanska bill for $132,810. Gail, do we need to do these all separate, or can we do them as one vote?
I think we should do them separately.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
We have a bill for Castle Booze for $539,491.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Consigli pre-construction number 13 for $20,361.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then consigli application number 4. So Steve, is this for the work in bid package 1 and 2 that's been going on?
Yes.
And have you checked that, Mary Ann or Anjanette?
I have.
And you're recommending it to us?
Yes, actually.
And Joe as well? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And there's a bill for $5,045.33 from Columbia Gas. What's that about? Can someone tell us?
It's the meter hookup for the new sewer pump station.
Sewer pump station.
At the lift
Okay.
station.
So moved.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
$3 million in 30
Wow.
seconds. All right, next is the project update. Steve, do you want to give us an update as to what's going on?
Sure. We have some photos taken yesterday from the drone. So for starters, since we last met, most of the road work has been completed. So we opened up the rotary as it's a three-way stop now, but this is all newly paved and opened up. The reason it's a three-way stop is because right here is an existing utility pole that National Grid needs to relocate, that's preventing this from being used as a full rotary. But the rest of the work is complete. The drainage structures are in, the new sewer is in, the new gas is in. We've repainted the lines. Work remaining, we're gonna final pave on Drummond Street next week. This section right here gets final paving. And then eventually we have some new electrical underground that comes across here that allows us to complete the underground duct bank, which then allows us to demolish these existing overhead lines that run right through the site. What's also been completed since we last met is the sewer pump station right here is almost complete. We have that set up on a temporary generator right now until we get power from National Grid. This is a brand new pole that they set on Monday, which is gets us partway there. Now we need power on that pole underground to feed this sewer pump station, but we elected to move forward with temporary measures because we're still not sure of the timing of all this happening, and we need to get this sewer pump station active for 2 reasons. One, it's going to allow us to complete all the work in this section here in the road and then open up the new road and be able to open up the new entry down to Brennan School, because then we need to close this off because there's more utility poles that go right in the woods here. And then that work will be complete, and then also there's an existing sewer line that runs pretty much right across the site, and it's into the foundation and the footprint of the new building. So we need to be able to demolish that, or else it'll delay the project. So we can't demolish that until the sewer station is up and running. So we're hoping Friday there's a startup on this, so that next week it'll be running on the generator and allow us to keep moving. We've also started to,
Let me just stop you right there,
Yes.
just for one point. You are intending to turn that sewer pump station over to the city at some point soon, correct?
probably within the month, by the end of the month. So we'll get it started up, and then it needs to get, so that the communication works to the wastewater department, and make sure that is all working properly. And then we'll perform a punch list, and then Kessel Booz and their consultants will perform a punch list. And once everything is accepted and complete, we will turn it over to the city.
Which
We'll ask
will-
for substantial completion of that.
Of that piece of the project, which we would then have to vote as a group to recommend to the city to accept substantial completion. Once that occurs, then the city becomes responsible for operating it, and the warranty starts on the station.
Correct.
And the city becomes responsible for insuring it.
Correct.
Rob?
So has National Grid actually given a timeline as to when that will be connected to their grid?
No.
How long do you have? We get.
That's
a
why I'm
long
asking.
story.
They've got a bit of a reputation.
Right, so we don't have a comfort level, which is why we're moving forward with the temporary measures.
Yeah.
It's a great sign that that first pole was installed, but it's a whole separate division that actually runs the wires. And we now need to also complete some underground work, add some conduit from that pole to the sewer pump station. So that work needs to be complete. Then they need to schedule the line crew. So we don't know when that will happen yet.
And is it completely unreasonable to think that the road work at the Rotary would also be done around the same time, or is that a whole
So it's
other
actually
division?
separate division. So this is brand-new poles, brand-new electric service, which is different from moving existing poles.
Okay.
So they
That's
could
what I
run
figured.
parallel paths if we're lucky, but we don't have a firm date on either
On either
scopes
one.
of work yet.
Okay, thank you.
We do have, however, applications before the city council to approve new poles and relocated poles.
Yes.
There was a public hearing on that a week ago. Last night, the Committee on Public Works voted it out of committee, so that will be voted this coming Tuesday. I think there's still one pole relocation, Gail, that needs to come in from them on Drummond. And then we expect them to do all of that work at once, Steve?
Their intention is all the pole relocation work, which occurs at the Rotary and along Rathman Willard, they want to do all at the same time, yes.
And I was told by Matt Eustace that the people who put the poles up are different than the people who take the old poles down. And so they don't happen at the same time.
Yeah. There's several different divisions and layers.
Specialization.
Yes.
Because you know how to put a pole in the ground, but you don't know how to take one out.
And then all
But
the underground work.
That's life when you're dealing with a large company.
So other work ongoing, we have started work on the building foundation. So this area right here is where the new school foundation begins. And this is bid package 3, so we've started excavating down to footing level in this area right here. So this work will move forward. We'll start amending the soil as needed and placing it back in the hole, as we say, and compacting and getting ready for footings. And then probably in early October, we'll start installing supportive excavation in this area right here. This is the deepest foundations for the building. So we have to put the supportive excavation in here. It's going through the approval process right now. And then we will dig for these very deep footings over in this area. And we're gonna work both in the north section right here, we're gonna put the footings in, and then we'll start in this section right here. So that'll progress for the next couple of months with the goal of steel erection starting January 3rd, right after the holiday. Other work that's been completed,
Steve, would you be, like, putting metal plates in to hold the wall back, or are you working in a trench box? What? How
for
are you
the
gonna
supportive
do this?
excavation.
Yeah,
So they drill in basically I-beams, vertical I-beams as columns, and then they put wood lagging between columns, from column to column, and they dig down, and that holds up, that supports the excavation.
that
And they'll
holds
do
the
the work.
building up that's next door to it?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the parking lots, temporary parking interim parking's completed at Blue Pride, Bray Lot, and the Bushy Lot, as well as striping there. So those are
Then if you
probably.
go over to the tennis courts,
Yep.
the other
The
way.
way.
So it's my understanding, and maybe the superintendent can address this, that the thought is that the contingency plan of taking those 3 tennis courts
These right here.
at the top of the picture are probably needed. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes, when when the striping was finally done on the lot, we're down some number of spots. I don't know the exact number, but somewhere in the 15 to 20 spot range, I think, is the difference between what we had and what we have. And as a result of that, it is particularly tight, and it's the least demand this time of year. As the school year progresses, kids get their license and start driving who aren't driving today. So the demand for spots only increases throughout the school year. Given the conditions currently, we think it would be prudent to start planning for getting some additional spots.
And we told that all to the city boards, and we told them that this would be the first place that we would look for additional parking. And so, Steve, in order to do that, you have to get, what, a change proposal request?
So we've got the design from KBA, and our subcontractors are pricing it up right now, pricing up the work, and I'll
So
get a
we'll be
different
putting some
view.
sort of black type on the,
Yeah, so let me just, this view might be better. So we're doing a couple of things. There's fence on all 4 sides of the tennis courts. We're gonna take this side and this side down, leave these 2 sides up. Essentially, there's a gate right here that we're gonna relocate over here. And then we'll take the actual net down and the posts and basically just put black over the court and restripe
driveway
it.
sealer type stuff?
Yeah, essentially the same as driveway sealer, yep. And then, I don't know if there's a, we'll fill in the crack or the seam in between these 2 different surfaces here. And then there's some lighting that we have that's gonna face in this direction. But everything else will remain as is. This driveway remains as is. There's parking that's gonna remain right here.
Is there enough space in that drive for two-way traffic with the existing spots?
Right here, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Good question. So the design has, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, entering the lot this way and one-way traffic
Right.
around this way. right?
Coming out, yes.
And then coming out.
Thought it was safer than having people driving around the lot, having just go in one direction.
Don't know, Jason. Good question.
And we're looking at 54 spaces, if I remember correctly?
Yes.
Yes. 2
Right.
handicapped and 52
Uh,
standard.
After the meeting Monday, when Superintendent Sawyer brought this up, I was thinking, along the CTE shop side that faces the tennis courts, there are a number of grass areas. Is it worth, would there be enough space to replicate the spaces there without losing those 3 tennis courts, or is that too little of space?
Not enough space.
Okay. And is it worth considering those for the next phase if, instead of 54, we need 74 without losing any additional tennis courts or something along those lines.
Well, I think, as I understand it,
Yeah,
the tennis team can still operate both boys and girls on the 5 courts.
Correct.
right.
We did gain permission to take the next 3 or the final 2 if we needed them, but that would mean the tennis team would have to go somewhere else. So I think it would be a harder decision if we got to that point.
And given that the 54 spots we'd be gaining would put us in excess of the number of spots we have historically had, I can see no reason to believe we would need more spots.
You'll get juniors getting their license at the same time seniors are leaving the school, so there could be a balance there. Do the boys and girls tennis teams play at the same time of year?
Yes,
Okay.
same season. But they can operate on 5 courts.
Right. We went through that on Monday. I was
Yeah,
just,
and it's it's not as convenient as having the full 8, but it's for a short time. We can get through it.
I agree. I just didn't know if it was worth considering the alternative. So thank you.
the grounds behind it.
And then one other thing, while we were looking at things, if you go back to where the overhead power lines are now.
Yep.
So the plan has been prepared to move the easement from that sweep. I'll wait for him to get it.
Here's the overhead.
Yeah.
Right here.
So that easement will be abandoned, and it will be replaced by the new easement, which will run basically along Rathbun Willard.
Yeah, it runs kind of right here. This is a manhole that's in the middle of the easement, and it comes across here, and then runs across Rathbun Willard.
And then runs on the other side of the new north-south connector, on the western field side, correct?
Yeah, it comes over here.
And then runs down to where you turn to go
Yeah,
into
the
Brennan.
existing pole. Yep.
And so that plan has been prepared. We'll be submitting that to the city council on Tuesday with the written easement, and we'll be asking the city council to approve the substitution of the easement so that the mayor can sign that document and we can get that recorded for the benefit of National Grid.
One other thing to point out while we're on this view is these houses right here are actually our trailers finally. So this will be Consigli, we've got Skanska and Kessel Booz here, and this is the site contractor completing the bid package 3 scope of work. So hopefully next week or so that we have power and we'll start to move in here. So
Doesn't look
full-time-
like a trailer to me.
No.
We'll get rid of the little Connex box that the 5 of us are
Condo.
in right now,
We got a
nice and
desk for you
cozy,
too,
and then
Joe.
Huh?
We got a spot for you
Oh,
too.
look
moving to
at
the
that.
mansion.
Is that where you'll be
Manacle
living
and
during
a
the week,
chain
Steve?
link fork and-
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep, maybe weekends too, depending. So yeah, so that's actually a good sign too.
And then one other thing, while we're at it, the Western Fields, we have filed with the Conservation Commission. We had our initial hearing with them. The notice to proceed has been given to Horsley Witten to do the peer review. And so we will be back in front of the Conservation Commission sometime in October after that peer review is complete to hopefully gain the permission to construct those fields. And then we'll wait till January to find out if we can afford it. And there the Western Fields are.
Why do we have to get permission to construct fields when they're already there?
Stormwater permit, we're disturbing more than 2,500 square feet. Life has changed, Jerry. Anything else you want to add to the update
Nope, not unless there's any questions.
from anybody in the group?
Oh, we did get a response from the Mass School Building Authority on our submission There were minimal comments.
That's the last thing on our agenda.
Oh, sorry, did I jump the gun?
That's okay, but we can take care of that right now if you'd like.
Jack, just
When
real,
you said update, I thought,
Yeah.
so when we were talking about the fields and whether we can afford them, there'll be fields, it's whether or not it's
Whether we can make them
turf
into
or,
turf fields with
Yes.
the
Yeah,
proper
okay.
drainage.
okay,
There will be fields there.
there'll be fields.
Question is, will they be as is?
Or-
Or will they be something that will be usable
Or
for the next
improved.
3 years at the level of use that we would expect them to get?
Well said.
Okay, so, Mary Ann, the MSBA did respond.
yes, the MSBA responded, and there were minimal comments, which was good, and nothing, no big surprises or issues. That it was more, I don't want to say nitpicking, but it was more just minor comments and observations, but
Going
nothing
through the
of-
process.
going through the process, but nothing of significant impact. No, no concerns about the budget, no concerns about the overall quality of the drawings, et cetera. I mean, most of the text that was there is based on their language that we utilize as a guideline, and then they added a few comments to that. So sometimes you could see 60, 70 pages. We did not have that. Yeah. So I would say overall, that was good news, and we'll be submitting a response as required within 10 days. We received it on Friday, so not this coming Friday, but the following Friday is our deadline to send our response to their comments.
Lori, do you have to leave?
No, I'm the sit-in there.
Okay, because I wanted to make sure we maintained our quorum.
Yeah.
We have 9 right now.
Yeah.
so-
We have 9 right now. Because we have a number of
Jason's
votes that
gonna
we have to
stay.
take. So, yeah, I was just counting the room again. But you guys can feel free to come up to the table.
Sure.
I don't think Bill's coming back, and
Yeah, I do think Bill is coming back.
He said to text him if we
Yeah.
needed him, but I don't think we need him.
Yeah.
Okay,
if
that
we
was
don't
just
need
if we
'em.
were short of a quorum for the votes.
Okay, so-
After you, I'll jump over here.
So, okay, then,
Do we need to do the votes, Jack, or are we good to go through the log first? And then the votes?
I was thinking we could do the change proposal log next, and then we'll do the HVAC recommendation last.
Just want to sing, Jack, the groundbreaking is October 3rd.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point that out
The
as well.
rain date of the 4th.
That's correct, at
I
10 a.m.
understand that the superintendent and the principal are putting together a program, and we expect that there will be many people who will be looking for hats and shovels.
Oh,
I
my
believe that the mayor's email of invitation had something like 71 addresses on it.
there were quite a lot.
Well, we have to invite the MSBA, we have to invite the, state reps and senators, we have to invite the city council, the school committee, those of us who are in this room.
Except you moved two
So,
things over.
and I think
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
But
we're talking
I'll
about having some
mention them.
students around, and so, I think it'll be a fairly large crowd. So, are you ready to talk to us about the change proposal logs?
Yes. So the log is in front of you. The list contains 25 potential CRs, and then we also have included contingency items, potential contingency items. Again, the contingency items keep everything within the GMP. It's just moving from one bucket to the other. Anything that is gray is either approved or voided. So we're not going to talk about any of the gray ones. So we'll jump down to item number 5, CR number 5, which we're looking for approval tonight, is excavation of unsuitable material. This one's been out there for a little bit. We had uncovered in this area right here, mostly. When we started digging, it was assumed that there was 1 foot of loam. There ended up being almost 2.5 feet in some locations, so we had to remove that loam because it's going under a paved area and put suitable fill in. This number was a lot larger, and then Joe had the brilliant idea of, instead of grading to something that's just gonna get ripped out in 2 years, we had the final grades for 2 years from now, and we're grading to meet those final grades, which reduce the scope, which reduce the cost down to 54,307, and that includes a credit from the bid package 3 site contractor that originally owned regrading in a couple of years. So overall, 54,307.69 for that work.
And is this payment going to Walsh?
Yes.
So I need to recuse myself.
No,
Would
So,
you
we need-
chair for that vote?
I can, but do we now not have a quorum?
Right.
No, we have a quorum because of the rule of necessity, even though I've recused.
Okay. Okay.
So do you want
So do you want to do the motion now?
to, I think we ought to, yeah.
Okay, motion to approve change request 5, existing loam discovered below ground in the amount of $54,307.69.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have to do a roll call vote.
No.
Okay.
No.
So Jack will recuse himself, and all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then motion passes.
Okay.
Same here, Jack, this next one is
For
Walsh
the
as well.
Highland Park erosion and drainage.
So
changes?
CR6, Highland Park erosion drainage changes, revised scope, ended up as a credit to the project, so money coming back. Yes, that does happen. Credit of $7,559.74. And again, I should point out, anything that we're looking for approval tonight has gone through Skanska, KBA, Consigli. Everyone has vetted it out and is in agreement with it at this point, and the consultants if need be.
So this is money coming in from Walsh?
So
Back to the project?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, and you still need to recuse?
I think it's advisable.
Okay.
So moved. Ahead.
So,
Second.
all right.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Do we have to read out the
think we
motion?
I would just ask for a vote.
Okay, vote to approve change request 6, Highland Park erosion control changes, credit of $7,559.74. Motion is in order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
Skip down to change request number 9, relocating existing pole and adding a hand pole. This was in the Bushy lot. Seen here, there was a existing pole, utility light pole, where we found that the existing conduit was damaged, and in order to repair it, we had to add a hand hole in that location. So that work, there's some grading and which done by Walsh Jack, and then hand hole installation by our electrical subcontractor. So we tracked that on time and materials, verified by Skanska and Consigli. Total is $1,386.56.
Okay, motion to approve change request 9, electrical handhole at Bushy in the amount of $1,386.56.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Skip to number 11, also Walsh Jack. South
Good thing
Lot
they didn't
revised.
bid on 3.
Excuse me?
It's a good thing they didn't bid on 3.
South Lot revised grading. Again, just take a look. We took a look at the existing conditions out here once we ripped up the old soil and paving here and tweaked some of the grading in order for it to flow, for the drainage to flow better. That was actually tracked on time and materials again, verified by Skanska and Consigli. Total cost is $2,586.30.
Okay, motion to approve change request 11, revised grading at Bushy Lot for $2,586.30.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, so those 4 that we just talked about and voted on approved are rolled into change order number 3, which in the past we have voted on that as well. So we're requesting that be approved as well.
Scott, I think you ought to handle that.
I think I have to, right? You can't-
Yes.
I just want to make a note, it says a net deduct, so you can strike those words, because it's not a deduct, correct?
Oh, gotcha.
It's for a total of 50,000.
Unfortunately, yes, it's an add of.
For a total ad, is that
It's a
correct?
total ad.
Add of
There was-
$50,720.81.
Yeah. Okay, motion to approve owner's change order number 3 to encompass the 4 change requests above for a total of $50,720.81.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion passes.
All right, so we'll just buzz down. The rest are in progress. So change request number 12, electrical work, medium voltage cable reroute. So this was a redesign of the existing electrical that we had to reroute on the roof. And then there was a redesign, instead of breaking through existing duct banks, we went through the areaway, so there's some credits coming back from subcontractors there. Made the work a little easier. CR 14 was at the superintendent's lot. There's a weak spot where the paving had failed, and there's some existing conditions underneath there that required us to dig deeper and add additional fill and repave that. And that work was completed by Walsh. We're still kind of battling that one a little bit. There's some sort of drainage, something draining under here that is undocumented. So there's a soft spot here we're dealing with, so we're working through that. But they did a major repair that helped in some areas. We did that on time and materials, so we're collecting that and still working through that. CR 15
It's voided.
is voided.
It should be voided.
Yep.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that's the drainage pipe that we're,
It's in the roadway.
yep, we're billing the city directly there outside of the project. So that'll come off this, that'll move to voided. CR 17 changes to emergency egress. So this was done at the loading dock area. So added some handrail, and this door that's open right here, we actually made it emergency egress for the staff that's in this area of the building, and of course anyone that might be in the gym after hours. But we cleaned out this records room, added a wall, added some lighting, some exit signs, and some door hardware. Worked through that with the building department and the fire department, so we're completing that work on time and materials. CR 19, temp conditions at the Rotary. Again, based on that utility pole being in the middle of the Rotary, we had to add the Jersey barriers and do some temporary striping and temporary work out here until that pole gets moved. Temp conditions at the pump station, we talked about.
Did you skip 18, Steve?
Yeah. Restriping
Yeah, I
of
did.
existing
Sorry.
parking lots.
Restriping of existing parking lots. So as the days went on here, the school realized that they had some different needs for different departments to delineate who was parking where. So we had some additional striping, a lot of different colors to
Color
help
coding,
with
yeah.
wayfinding on all 3 lots, actually. So that's all done on the cloak of darkness. The striping subs work odd hours, so we never saw them, but the work got done, and we're just waiting on the slips. CR 19 was the temp conditions at the Rotary. CR 20, temp conditions for the pump station, so that include the temporary generator that we have and fuel. And hopefully it doesn't last very long and we get permanent power there, but so we'll just track that. This has a little bit of a buffer in it. It's an estimate at this time. It has a couple of months, so hopefully it's less than that. CR 21, damaged sewer pipe. So this one is going to move to contingency, but just the description of it, there was some sewer manholes that backed up one day along Rathman Willard, and was found that a section of old existing clay pipe had collapsed. It's not pipe that we touched as part of this work, but we were working nearby. We think just the compaction or adding new structures nearby might have compromised the pipe and caused it to fail. So it's It's a condition that, you know, it's hard to pin on the site contractor, because it's not like they exposed the pipe and dropped something on it. So they did that repair, it was an emergency repair, and we're gonna take that out of contingency, so that'll move to the bottom section.
So, could that have been the cause of what was happening in the parking lot nearby?
No, unrelated.
One's drainage, one's sewer.
Yeah,
I figured they were both water.
no.
Not exact side of the track.
Item CR 22, addition of temp sidewalk at Rome. Again, over at the Rotary, let me get the other view where you can see it much better. So we thought it would be beneficial, helpful from a safety standpoint to add this section of asphalt paving right here, because there's so many students that come through here. So for the next few years, they weren't gonna have a means of egress to get safely down to Drummond to the gate that they go to enter the Brennan School. So we added this asphalt right here, along right here, and this crosswalk and curb cut, thank you. I could not think of that word. You know, where we cut the curb. So we added that section for a safety aspect, and Anjanette spoke to the crossing guard today, and she says it's been valuable to have that and extremely helpful. So we tracked that on time and material, so we're just collecting the slips for that work.
Steve, as long as you have that up, I think we should comment that this issue on both sides of the street, I know the Smiths are the ones who live on the right side. I'm not sure the names of the people who live on the left side, where the temporary is. But we are going to be seeding and growing grass where Steve's pointing out there. And as I understand it, that is the responsibility of the site work contractor to seed it, to water it, to mow it until it's established.
Yes.
Which should get us to the end of the growing season.
Usually it's minimum of 5 mowings. That's a bit high enough to
Right.
mow, and they have to mow it 5 times.
So that'll get us through September and October,
Yes,
right?
sure.
And the growing season should be pretty much over. But one of the issues that has arisen is who will be the owner of that area on the top of the sidewalk. The city will own what's on the bottom of the sidewalk, the strip along the roadway there. And so we have submitted that issue to the city solicitor to determine the ownership of that, because there is a possibility that that will become part of the Smith's property as a part of this project by the relocation of the road. Don't want to comment any further than that, other than to say the city solicitor is going to direct us how to proceed. But with regard to that, we thought that that asphalt is temporary and was to be replaced with a concrete sidewalk at some point a
Permanent.
couple of years from now.
The permanent sidewalk will be concrete, yes.
And so what we thought is that it would be wise to put that permanent sidewalk in now. And in addition to that, there's a telephone pole that was going to go somewhere. It's going to be moved from that area over to there, and so we want to make sure that the permanent sidewalk goes around that, so it's on the city side rather than on the Smith side. So what we're looking at now is accelerating that work so that whenever we are able to talk to the Smiths and explain to them what their ownership is, that it will be permanent, that we won't have to do this twice, we won't have to come back and rip their front lawn up again, which seems only fair to them.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then over on the other side, is that 99 Rome over
Yes.
there? Again, the permanent sidewalk, is that going to be with a grass strip as well, I think?
Yes.
And I believe there's also going to be some trees planted
Yes.
on the city side, on both sides, in the grass strip.
Yes.
That's correct.
And Dave McKinley, the landscape architect who's with KBA, explained at the meeting this morning that there are some valid safety reasons why you want that strip and the trees. It slows traffic down, and it has the pedestrians on the other side of the trees from the roadway. So we are also looking now at constructing the permanent sidewalk in front of 99, and then explaining to those owners how they might become owners of additional square footage. So that is something that I wanted everybody here to be aware of. I don't want the Smiths or the 99 people to call me tomorrow because we don't have an answer on the legal issues, but we will have one soon, and we will treat them appropriately.
Jack, do they have to take that land?
And again, when the city relocates the public way, and there is land that is now no longer in the public way,
Yeah.
then it can become theirs legally. There's a procedure for that.
What happens if they don't want it?
Well, then the city would continue to own it, and the city would have to mow it, but how would anyone know where their front lawn ended?
All right.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why they wouldn't want to own it.
They don't want more taxes.
Well, we talked to the assessor about that issue,
Yeah.
and she said that once you get beyond a lawful lot, the excess land adds a very tiny amount to your tax bill, because it doesn't give you an extra buildable lot.
All right.
So we don't know what that number is, but it would add to their lot. And so once we have sorted the legalities out, we'll A, report it here, but B, we will also talk to those landowners and explain to them what the legal situation is.
All right, the last few, CR 23 erosion control changes, that was a proposal request that came from KBA, just minor. So a lot of these, the large, these items right here, these orange sacks full of mulch that you see everywhere, just revising some of those locations for the next couple of years. CR 24, additional light changes. So by opening up more parking here, it was determined a lot of people are going to park here at night, possibly for the football games or other activities. So for safety reasons, the school thought it would be best to add some lighting along this section of the school facing this direction, because this is a main egress path now to get to the stadium. So there's some lights that we're going to add, 3 lights added here facing this direction, so we're pricing that work up. And then CR 25 is the parking at these 3 tennis courts that we spoke about earlier. And then the 3 contingency transfers. The first one, existing boiler room, make safe lights. There's some existing lights that we had to move when we did the demo and abatement, so it's just putting those back, getting those, the work's already done, it's just collecting the slips and sending that through. Item 2, new breaching reroute. So this is a new section right here. It was originally going to come up through the roof, but there's an existing roof drain, so we changed direction, changed the routing out to this way, and it required a couple of different pieces and parts. And then the last item was irrigation line repair. That was an existing irrigation line that was unknown, that was hit, that fed the stadium, so that work was repaired. So it's just a matter of collecting the slips for that one as well and submitting that one for official approval.
Was that the Columbia gas?
No, that's a separate one.
Oh, that's a separate one.
Yes.
And so, Steve, if I understand correctly, the bottom 3 would come out of the owner's contingency?
The construction contingency.
Construction, but it's
Not-
the owner's construction contingency, no?
No.
No, separate.
Your
Sam.
construction contingency.
Yes.
His construction contingency.
Correct.
And the top 25 ones are all in the GMP?
They will be. They will be, because they're changes. But once we bid the project and we reconcile the GMP, right,
The
what we'll
point is,
do
they'll all
is,
be in the 223.
it'll all be in the 223. Correct.
So I don't want anybody out there in the public to think that we just added a couple $100,000 to the project.
Correct.
We are
That is
accounting
not
for
the
this
case.
in the guaranteed maximum price.
That's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions on change proposal log? I just want to thank Consigli for getting this into an excellent format that we can all understand. So that means that we need to go back to pick up the HVAC recommendations for the pre-qualification of contractors, and Jeanette, is that you?
Both Marion and I are gonna tackle this. I spoke to the pre-qualifications that we had before and said that we're gonna hold off on the HVAC. We had 6 that are, that had submitted qualification packages, and after, we thought tonight we would not be qualifying 2 of them. Did have a conversation with Consigli earlier today, and we've decided that we are gonna qualify all but 1 of them. So on that note, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Ann because she has had additional conversations that would be helpful.
Okay, so the one firm that we are recommending that they not be qualified for the project, what we had done is they had provided 6 references, and there were 3 to 4 calls made, and only 2 out of the 6 returned the calls. And so our thinking was, well, okay, if we've made 3 to 4 phone calls for each of another 4 additional references, we don't know if there's a problem or not. So what we did is we reached out to the team, which is pretty standard in this process, and we asked Castle Booze to review their experience with this particular subcontractor, and we also asked Consigli to review their experience. What they were able to do is the tracking that is done internally with Consigli around performance, bonding, insurance, safety,
Quality.
all of that,
Yep.
quality. They had 3 projects where it was, I'm trying not to use too many adjectives, that it was questionable about whether they would be suitable to perform work on this project, given their performance on 3 other projects. So the question we had was, well, is this 1 reference from Consigli or is it 3 references? Because they're 3 different projects. So I called Deb Anderson at the AG's office, Attorney General's office, and reviewed pretty much what we just spoke about here. And she said, no, it's absolutely 3 references from Consigli, and they're valid references. And the reason why we did this is that it's not unusual, it's very typical to not only review this with the pre-qualifications committee, but review it with the architect, review it with the OPM, and review it with the construction manager, what their collective experiences have been with these firms. So that being said, per the instruction of Deb Anderson from the Attorney General's office, she asked that I pick up the phone and call this firm, which I did. And I asked for the president of the company. He wasn't available. He was in a meeting, but they did pass me on to another person within their firm. So I explained to them about not being able to get references from the people they provided as references, and that then when we did look for references from Consigli, that we did not get very good feedback on their direct experience. So based on that, we are making the recommendation to approve 5 of the 6 firms and not to approve the 6th one. So we can read those names if you would like
I think
into
we
the
need-
record.
It sounded significant to me that they did not list Consigli as one of their 6, even though they had done 3 projects.
Yes, I think that's interesting too. And, the conversation I did have with this firm was to say, and this is just how I operate in the world, that when you work with people and you have great success, that somebody called me and said, what do you think of Consigli? I would return that call right away and I'd say, hey, I had a great experience. People are not as quick to return a call if if they don't have a good reference. And so that,
They're afraid that they will be sued by somebody.
correct.
And so sometimes you'll get a call back that just says, I can confirm they worked, but nothing else, which tells you everything you need to know. And sometimes you don't get a phone call at all.
Exactly. And so that's why we had to reach out a little further on that particular firm.
Okay.
So what was the response from the company?
He said, "Oh, I can call the references." I said, "That's not the process for him to call the references and to ask them to call me." You know, we went through the process, which was to call them like we called all the other subcontractors, because in a certain way, then you're, I don't know if this is the right term, but coercing somebody to say, "Oh, call them, tell them we did a great job for you," and that's not really how reference checking goes. So.
Anybody have any other questions or comments? So why
Yeah.
don't you give us,
Well, I just wanted to say that, you know, when we had asked KBA and Consigley to offer references, it was across the board. It was for every single trade contractor that submitted a pre-qualification, from painting to, so there was nothing, you know, we didn't do anything different that we wouldn't have done, that we didn't do for anybody else for this particular sub. So that needs to be stated.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you clarified that.
Right.
It just meant that we didn't have the benefit of the other references that they had provided because none of them responded.
So the 5 that did pre-qualify were Arden Engineering.
Rob had a question?
I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
I was fine with waiting until you had read them off, but you had initially mentioned that you would plan to disqualify 2.
That's right.
Is it safe to say that you went through a similar process with another company, but Consigley had good things to say, or someone on the team had? So
It was a different, this was Harold Brothers, I'm sorry, did we already say who it was?
No.
This
No.
person that won't be qualified. That was performance-based determination. The other company, we were concerned about their capacity to carry the project. It's $24.8 million, just this one package, in addition to managing multiple subcontractors for balancing, insulation, you know what I mean? So it's a big deal. It's a lot of money.
You don't want somebody with a pickup truck and a shovel.
Correct.
They can have a pickup truck and a shovel, but they should have a lot of them, you know?
So I guess my question is, where your concerns weren't remedied with the other company, what about and you don't have to say which one was which.
The other company was qualified in terms
That's
of their
correct.
performance.
That is correct.
Et cetera. You were just concerned whether they had the capacity to do the job.
That's correct. That's
And you've
correct.
satisfied yourself that they do.
We have actually. We had an additional conversation earlier today. Gail participated in the early part of the call, and we are comfortable recommending, you know, their approval for the qualification.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry,
No worries.
the trade contractors that we're recommending to move forward would be Arden Engineering, General Mechanical, INR, WF Lynch, and Iamonte and Sons.
Some of those are people who are pre-qualified for other trades, is that correct?
That is correct. They have to be pre-qualified for each of the trades separately.
Right, but didn't they get pre-qualified for
Plumbing,
Plumbing.
they did.
plumbing?
That's correct.
And was it INR or some name like that?
Harold Brothers was pre-qualified for
For
plumbing, but
That's correct.
we're not pre-qualified for HVAC.
Okay.
Because
The
they
plum-
have very good references on them.
Right. And the plumbing contract was $9.5 million, I think, so substantially smaller than this one, so.
But a big
So-
plumbing contract.
The what?
That's still a
But
big
that's
plumbing
still a big,
contract.
right.
So you need a motion to approve those 5 as pre-qualified.
Yes, please.
Second?
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And then you need a motion to disqualify 1. The name of that company is?
Harold Brothers Mechanical?
And is there a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything we need to do tonight, other than what we have done? I think our next meeting,
October 9th.
is October 9th. And then while we're at it, why don't we schedule the November meeting, so everybody knows. Would that be the 13th of November?
Does that work for you?
And while we're on a roll, do you want to do December?
11th?
11th.
Is that too close for you with
there it is.
requisitions?
Yes, December 11th, does that work
No,
for
I think
everybody?
that's okay. I'm
Okay.
just worried about, bids are gonna be due somewhere in here, I think, so there's potential to have some
Okay.
awards then
Okay.
for that December.
All right.
Steve, do you have a concern?
No, I'm just talking out loud about it, if we'll have some trade bid results for the December 11th meeting, potentially.
Are you saying that you don't want that date, or you do
No,
want?
I think it would be timely.
Okay.
I think we'll keep that. That should work.
So unless I hear any objections, October 9th, November 13th, and December 11th. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned at.
Thank you.
Whatever my phone says, 6:26.
Busy.
Depends on how many dignitaries want to speak and actually grab a shovel.